The ancient figures of the divine twins are recognizable throughout the world, with minor variations of the same themes. They are usually depicted as the sons of the sky god, or even having dual paternity, one twin from a human father and the other from a god. Among the many associations attached to the divine twins is the custom of dual kingship, the warrior king and the priestly king, where one king would go on campaigns, and the other would remain to protect and reassure the tribe. Mentions of this custom was made as early as accounts by ancient Greek historian Tacitus, circa 56 to circa 120 CE, and continued well into the Migration Age, where the twin kings became popular legendary figures. However, an interesting association occurs in the names of the twin leaders of the Anglo-Saxon invasion of Britannia, Horsa and Hengist of Jutes, who are said to be the descendants of Woden, the god Odin of Norse mythology. The two names are words for horse and stallion, respectively, in Old English. This association does not appear to be a coincidence. The idea of the divine twins formed a part of the original Proto-Indo-European religion in the 4th millennium BCE. Subsequent records identify and define the distribution of these gods in time and space through their descendant cultures, such as the Germanic twins, Alcis, meaning sacred space or protection, the Hellenic Dioscuri, sons of God, which refers to the twins Castor and Pollux, the Vedic Ashvins, horse tamers or possessor of horses, the Lithuanian Asvienii, cognate of Ashvin, and the Latvian Dieva Deli, which again means sons of God, among others. All these twins are mostly associated with the sun, the sea, and healing. However, another association that they share that is perhaps not as obvious is their association with horses.
After 2000 BCE, texts from the Near East and India present new generations of gods, among them the divine twins. Archaeological evidence from Europe suggests that the divine twins were dominant gods during the 2nd millennium BCE, whose fame continued well into the early 1st millennium BCE. Their popularity is probably linked to the expansion of the war chariot after 2000 BCE, which they used to drive around the earth with the sun.
The Vedic references of the gods predate the earliest classical Homeric writings by about 1,000 years. The Rig Veda contains the earliest and most detailed evidence of the twin gods Ashvins. They are considered brothers of Usha, the goddess of dawn, and represent twilight, as darkness and light appear intertwined on the horizon just before dawn, as well as before dusk. In the Vedic texts, the divine twins are among the most popular of gods. In India, they help Indra, their uncle, to get Soma, Vedic ritual drink, from Tvastar, the sky father and the firstborn creator of the universe, suggesting their importance in the pantheon. The Ashvins, often pictured as divine horsemen, are referred to 400 times in 50 out of the 1028 hymns of the Rig Veda. Later, a myriad of Nordic Bronze Age iconography, rock art and bronze figurines with solar symbolism dating from 1700 to 500 BCE show the worship of the sun, its gods and goddesses, helped by the twin figures. These figures, in their many different depictions, always appear in pairs as ships carrying the sun, as humans carrying cult axes, chariot drivers, or as two horses. Despite some minor changes, their religious functions remained intact throughout the Bronze Age. This shows that twin symbolism is firmly linked to the solar myth which is shared throughout the world. The divine twins may also appear in their transformed shape as horses pulling the sun. The Ashvins from the Hindu mythology were in fact born as horses, or as twin ships with heads of horses as they carry the sun safely through the sea of the underworld. Some depictions of them portray them as two-wheeled chariots and two horses, in which the divine twins embody both as chariot drivers and horses circling day and night in their chariot to bring forth the sun and appear as the respective stars of morning and evening, a motif and meaning also common on Scandinavian rock art. The twins are known as divine protectors in a treaty between the vassal Prince Kurtiwaza of Mitanni and his Hittite overlord and great king Shupiluluima in 1350 BCE. Within the greater Indo-European context, the divine twins' depiction as either handsome youths and brothers, horses, two men with horses, or even as horse-headed brothers, relates to the Trundholm sun chariot of the Nordic Bronze Age. However, in the legend of the Trundholm sun chariot, the wheels of the chariot are also functional. It is believed that the bright sides of the wheels represented the sun being drawn through the heavens, east to west, while the darker sides of the wheels represented movement through the underworld and a west to east movement. Subtle changes seem to occur over time in Greek and later Roman tradition when one twin started to represent the warrior function symbolized by a horse, and the other twin represent fertility and farming symbolized by an ox, leading to their later representation in the custom of the dual kingship. This also further established their role as communicators between gods and humans, which includes their many roles as rescuers and protectors, dating back to the Rig Veda and attested by the Greek Dioscuri. This is also reflected in the fact that in some legends one twin is divine while the other is human, and thus mortal. The obvious implication of this is that if some gods can become human, then some humans can also become divine, and therefore humanity and divinity are not as far as we may think. The Alces are a pair of twin brother gods that were worshipped among the early Germanic cultures. They were first mentioned in Tacitus's first-century work, Germania, where he introduces the Alces and determines that, much like the Dioscuri, they are certainly worshipped as young men and as brothers. The connection of the Alces with horses and chariots and their closeness to mankind in ancient Germanic cultures are also highlighted by Tacitus, who says, "It is common for this people to seek omens from horses. Kept at the expense of the public in these same woods and groves are white horses, pure from the taint of earthly labor. The horses are yoked to a sacred cart, and accompanied by the priest and the king, or chief of the tribe, who note their every noise and movements. No species of augury is more trusted, not only by the people and by the nobility, but also by the priests, who regard themselves as the ministers of the gods and the horses as acquainted with their will." The memory of the Alces endured in the Eddas, where we read, "Up shall rise all swift and early awake, hungry to haul the sun. But the gods became wroth at this arrogance, took both the brother and the sister, set them up in heaven, and turned them into horses that draw the car of the sun. These horses are Arvak, early awake, and Alsvid, all swift." The horses are also significant in North Germanic myth of brothers Skinfaxi, Shining Mane, and Grimfaxi, Frosty Mane, as they pull the chariots of day and night. In this myth, we are also informed that one brother was mortal and the other immortal. The brothers spend equal time in the heavens and in the underworld, much like the notion behind the Trundholm chariot, where one horse brother would carry the sun through the heavens from daybreak and the other would take over at nightfall to draw the sun through the underworld. The symbolic relationship between ships and horses is also demonstrated in the use of horse heads on the stems of rock art ships during most of the Bronze Age. This lends a special significance to the mythological connection with the Ashvins that rock art ships are depicted as transformed horses.
The role of the horse, especially its head in rituals, is well known. As the Ashvins were horse-born and symbolized by a horse head, in some hymns, the horse head was supposed to be able to speak on behalf of the divine twins. There is also a legend particularly connected to the horse head, which highlights the Ashvins' role as healers. Dadichi, the son of Atharvan, had the knowledge of honey, Medhu Vidya, which made mortal beings immortal. Indra felt insecure about it and did not want any mortal man to learn it. He vowed to behead any person who taught that knowledge to others. The Ashvins devised a plan to learn the secret from Dadichi without Indra's permission. They replaced Dadichi's head with that of a horse and learned the knowledge from him. When Indra came to know about it and out of anger cut off Dadichi's head, the twins put back his original head upon him and revived him. This makes the Ashvins the earliest known physicians having the ability to perform organ transplanting surgery.
By the middle of the second millennium BCE, a new religious institution developed of ritual chiefs who employed the horse head as a main symbol on razors, which could also have been used for medical and ritual purposes, which fits well with the Ashvins' roles as divine healers. Groups of graves from this period also contains a special kind of full-hilted swords, with spiral decoration symbolizing the sun, which were used mainly for parading, a war axe also with spiral decoration, drinking cups with a protruding sun star at the bottom, and sometimes also a kind of shaman bag. In short, all the attributes of a mortal Ashvin or a divine Ashvin priest. The role of the divine twins as healers symbolizes their place between illness and health, and ultimately life and death. Taking their symbolic roles as mediators between the sky and the earth, between the divine and the profane, into consideration, a ritualized leadership based on dual kings or twin chiefs began and quickly spread. Among the Greeks, most famously in Sparta, we also find dual kingship traced back to the Dioscuri, their national gods. As, like the Jutis, the Spartans were originally migrants, this points to a possible relationship between dual leadership and conquest migrations, leading to the foundation of new royal lineages and chiefdoms. From this, then, we could theorize that the custom of the dual kingship have played an important role during the expansion of the social and religious institutions of early Indo-European societies during the 3rd and 2nd millennia BCE. However, this is not to say that the divine twins' relationship with the sun was conveniently forgotten. Early Irish legend speaks of the eternal battle between the twin kings, the Holly King and the Oak King, which signifies the wax and wane of the seasons. The Oak King would win for 1/2 of the year, and the earth would be blessed with fruitfulness as the sun warms the world. However, the Holly King would gain the upper hand on the second half of the year, making the world slip into the dark half of the year, as winter strips heat and light away from the land and life withers and dies. The same story is depicted on Iron Age coinage among the Belgae in southeastern England. In this version, the divine twins also served as saviors of soldiers in battle, and of anyone in peril at sea until the end of pagan antiquity. Among the many variations of their depictions is that of 2 stars because they were set forever in the night sky in the constellation Gemini as an aid to navigation.